Well, thank you for spending your time joining us for today's episode. We're really excited you're here. And I can't wait to introduce you to my guest, Lisa Geraci Rigoni. So welcome, Lisa. It's so great to have you here.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah, I'm thrilled that I'm on your podcast. I'm very excited.
Yeah,
Or
and we're
your
going to
your
talk.
Zoom, you're live. Yeah.
Yes, yes. Oh my gosh. I wish we were in studio in person again. But we are talking today about negotiating past the clutter. We're going to be talking about both the internal and external clutter that sometimes gets us stuck. And for those of you who don't know Lisa, best-selling author Lisa Geraci Rigoni, she's the owner of the Organizing Mentors, and it's a company that specializes in personal organization and move management. She's been helping her clients reclaim their space, both mentally and physically, since 2008. We can all use a bit of that decluttering, especially this time of year. So, and also as an advocate and philanthropist and a champion for nonprofits, I love that Lisa helped establish Women Giving Back, which is a beacon of hope for women and children in crisis. And again, we could all certainly give a little more in our communities and find a cause that you support. So let's jump in. Lisa, I love the title for your book, 17 Spatulas and the Man Who Fried an Egg. It makes me smile every time. So share with us right out of the gate. What inspired that title and what was the broader inspiration for the book?
Well, thank you. Thank you for that. And I want to make sure I have one change, one correction. I didn't establish Women Giving Back. I got involved with them very early on. There were about 4 or 5 women in the building world, the building industry here in Virginia and DC, and started it with, a glass of wine, sitting out and say, how can we help women? What can we do? And as an organizer, I learned about them in 2009 or 10. And I said, how can I get involved? Because I have all these women's clothes and kids' clothing that I don't have anything to do with. So yeah, I've been involved with them for a really long time, and they're just growing, and it's amazing because everything's free for the clients, for the women who need it. So thank you for doing that, because it's a wonderful nonprofit and just helping so many people.
Well, good for you
So
and good for them. Don't
thank
you
you.
just love
Yes.
something to comes together like that from just sitting around having a conversation and then people
Right.
actually getting into action instead of just sitting around and talking about the issue.
Right. Yeah, no, they're amazing. And that's one of the reasons why I support them so highly. Yeah, it's really wonderful. So yeah, 17 Spatulas and the Man Who Fried an Egg, #1 bestseller on Amazon. I was thrilled when that happened.
Yeah.
So I always tell the same story. When I exaggerate, I always say 17. It's just kind of my go-to number. And, we had 17 feet of snow, or, I ate 17 pieces of pizza, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And then I met a woman who had 17 spatulas in her kitchen.
Oh, fun.
And she is in the book. She's the first story in the book. And she couldn't believe it. I really couldn't believe it, because I've been in people, kitchens that they're chefs and cooks and things. And 17 has never been, that number of spatulas. But everything served a purpose. The things that the spatulas that meant something to her, that served a purpose. This one was for her cannolis, or this one was for the pasta, and this is for the pancakes. And what she taught me was beautiful. And we really use this kind of motto in my 6 organizers who work for us. We help people. You don't have to keep the things that are pretty and new and flashy and all that. Keep what feels good in your hand.
Yeah, that's true.
And what serves a purpose. So she kept the spatulas that felt good in her hand, that she was comfortable with. It didn't matter what they looked like on the outside. Like the cover of the the thing is one of my marketing person's, her aunt's spatula. And I was like, that's perfect. That looks like all the spatulas my grandmother and my mom had, even the little melted spot right there that, it sat on the stove or the side of the pot too long. And so she taught me that. And, she gave away the things that were the new ones that her kids and grandkids wanted to replace her old and ugly, crummy looking ones.
Yeah.
And she said, get these out of the house quick before they see. And then the Man Who Fried an Egg is a gentleman. I sent him a copy of the book. I've changed a lot of one of my clients are changed a little bit in there. I worked with him. He worked with therapists, and I worked with him for about 8 months. And he was a hoarder. He had a lot of traumatic events happen in his life, and just kind of protected himself with
Yeah.
stuff and spent a lot of money on stuff he never opened and used. And he lived in a 3-story townhouse, never went upstairs where a lot of the memories and the trauma and, emotional stuff happened. Hardly used the kitchen, microwaved, ordered out,
Yeah.
had frozen this and that, and slept in the basement piled with books, and he was very, very smart in computers and just everything, and slept on 3 yoga mats in the basement. He was an older man, bigger man, and had knee problems.
Yeah.
Was not the healthiest situation for him. And over those 8 months, he opened up, like he trusted me, and
Yeah.
a lot of stuff happened in my life, and he became like a big brother to me. We were friends. We still communicate.
Yeah.
And after 8 months or so, he called me one morning very excited, and he said, Lisa, I just want you to know I fried an egg in my kitchen for the
Oh,
first time in 8 years.
wow.
And so this title just kind of came to me years ago. If I ever write a
Lovely.
book, this is going to be the book, because not that going through spatulas is difficult, right? It is difficult, but right? It is, because
Yeah.
you still have to make all those decisions.
Yeah.
But organizing even just a little,
Yeah.
like we helped this woman with getting her move ready, and then a gentleman who changed his whole life by asking those tough questions and really doing the work on why we hold on to stuff, which
Yeah.
is really why I wrote the book.
Well,
Why
it's
just
such an
ask the
important issue.
questions.
I mean, today you look at the one of the fastest growing businesses continues to be storage, right? It is a multi-billion dollar industry.
Mm-hmm.
So clearly we are all holding on to a lot of stuff
Definitely.
physically. And, but sort of post 9/11 and that climate of fear, and then with COVID,
Mm-hmm.
like people are holding on to a lot of
Right,
baggage as well.
right.
And I'm going to steal that when you say 17. It made me chuckle. If you notice, my husband, whenever it's something, I'm like, oh, for the millionth time. Or if I'm really upset, it's like for the gazillionth time. And he's like, oh, there's those newfie roots coming out with that exaggeration, right? So totally get
Right.
that.
Yeah,
What
yeah.
was one of the most surprising things that you learned in researching or just writing your book, Lisa?
Oh gosh. Well, I had the thoughts and the idea for the book, like not for a book. I never dreamed of writing a book, but it was COVID. And actually, I set out to write a book about the little system, LITL, the system that I
Yeah.
created in our organizing and how we work. And so I hired my friend, my guy who'd written things for me before, and we got the book done. And then I met with this publishing group and writers club, and I told them about what I do. And they're like, Lisa, that's your book. You have to write that first.
Yeah.
So this is not a how-to book. This is a book on how to ask the questions why.
Uh,
And what I found in, nearly 2 decades of doing what I do, and, 57 years in my head of kind of doing it myself, why we hold on and what's serving me, and why am I so, mentally uptight and overwhelmed? What is it? And what I found, like a common theme, I call it like a universal theme with my clients, was we hold on to stuff, A, because we don't have ask questions why we're holding on to
yeah.
something. And B, B is like a lot of different reasons, for guilt,
Yeah.
regrets, holding on to, I found this thrilling, this one client, and I think that there's a story in the book about, I said to the organizer, I was like, she had passed away. Oh no, this story did not make it in the book. And I thought, these are the things we hold on to, or the things we're going through, are their lost dreams.
Yeah.
I have people that have macular degeneration, but keep their artwork and
Mm,
keep their painting supplies, or
yeah.
their crochet, and they have arthritis.
Yeah.
It's dreams and things of what could have been. And we all create this story in our lives. Even getting married, you
Yeah.
keep past pictures, like, oh, I remember how I was going to do that. Or getting a divorce, like
Yeah.
that's a death. That's a
Yeah.
death of a
Yep.
relationship, a future. So
Yep.
there were so many of these stories swirling around in my head, and I take notes, every once in a while when a client really connects and affects me,
Yeah.
to make me go, oh gosh, that reminds me of
Yeah.
something that I'm holding on to. So that was huge. And also, man, it took me 2 years to write this, but the last year of it, really digging deep and working with my content editor, who's become a friend of mine, who really challenged me with some of the stories that I put in about
Nice.
myself.
Yeah.
I found it was cathartic for me. Like, I
That's
didn't
awesome.
realize I was holding on to something a boyfriend said to me 30 years ago.
Yeah.
That changed how I actually thought about myself,
Yeah.
you
Well, I think
know?
that's so valuable that you're focusing on the questions. And I love kudos to your writing group who gave you that feedback. And
Yeah.
let's dig in a bit about that. Cause I often, I say that our first and most important negotiation is with ourselves, negotiating our mindset. And I love that your work covers both mental and physical.
Mm.
And in negotiations generally, asking questions is so important. We don't do it. We like to control the process and exert
Yep.
control over others, and we just don't ask questions. So I'd love if you can talk a bit more about the mental game for a moment. You talked a bit about some of the
Oh.
reasons we get stuck. How can we reclaim our mental space?
Well, that's the scary part, and that's the magic pill. If I had a magic wand,
Yeah,
to help people and myself too, just it's hard to be honest with yourself.
yeah,
And it is a lot easier to stay in your comfort zone, do what you usually do, but asking those questions, being honest with yourself. I
yeah,
even talk about, the secrets we keep from ourselves.
yeah,
It's much easier to say, "Oh, no, no, I'm fine." Or, after COVID, I did the COVID-19. I said, I think I gained about 19 pounds during
yeah.
COVID. I did the COVID-19. And then I was like, well, if I'm going to lose weight, if I really like, if I look at myself and look at my habits, well, honey, we can't finish that bottle of wine every night or every two
Yeah,
nights or eat dessert. Or you have to really be honest. Oh, no, it's fine. I can sleep in. I don't have to work out. Or, okay, no, just close the door.
yeah,
I don't need to go through that. And it's timing. But it's really asking. I have this on the bottom of my computer is what would your future self want?
mm,
And if your future
uh,
self says, I'm just going to let it all go, like let my kids take care of it,
yeah,
whatever, then you're fine. If you don't want to change,
yeah.
those of us who do love change, and it's scary and it's shitty every once in a while, excuse my language,
That's
but
it.
you
You're
know
good.
what? If you want change, you have to take that first step. And sometimes that first step is the hardest.
Yeah.
It really is.
And let's talk. It's funny because I was going to ask you about that, because we often hear that if we want our life to change, we need to change. And I think most people get stuck at that starting gate that you're
Mhm.
talking about. So what tips do you have about some of the most effective ways to simply start, right?
Well, I know you didn't plan on this, but I created the little system. The name of my business used to be Leave It to Lisa. And the
Oh,
little system is LITL. I have ADD. Always say this. I love acronyms.
yeah.
They help me. They help me
Too.
remember things. They
Yeah.
help me, even if it wasn't what the word is, I'll remember the acronym and I'll remember the meaning.
Yeah.
So when I started thinking about what do we do for our clients? What do I do? What do you do when you make a decision? It's always this system. And I work with therapists, I work with coaches, I've worked with many people and asked them about my system. And the first L to the system is let it go. And the more people say, I don't know what I want, like when you walk in the house, I don't know where to start, I don't know what I
Yeah.
want. Everybody knows what they don't want.
Yeah.
And I have examples of this in my book, how like even going to at a restaurant, we know what we don't want. Okay,
Yeah.
I'm not in the mood for seafood, I'm not in the mood for pasta,
Yeah.
right? You let go of what you don't want, what is not serving you, right? In your closet, well, I don't wear this sweater anymore, these pants don't fit. We know what we don't want.
Yeah.
And again, to make any decision, even to hire a client, hire an organizer or hire a doctor or whatever, you look at what you don't want first. Or a car. Well, I
Yeah.
don't want a big Mercedes. I don't, right? We look
Yeah.
at what we don't want. So that's the first step. I do presentations on my little system all the time, online, in person. I
Yeah.
give people homework. I'm like, just start with the L. Open one drawer and look in it and say, what don't I want? Don't worry about the other stuff. Go through the whole house with the first L
Yeah. And
and
can
you
I
make
just comment,
changes.
and before you
Yeah.
go on there, just a little inject, because that really resonates with me when I think of my closet or those, when you said about the comfort for those spatulas, I
Mm.
immediately thought of my wardrobe as well. I mean, how many times have we got and we hold on to clothing that looks fabulous on the hanger? It may even look fabulous on, but God, it's uncomfortable. And so we never wear it. And yet we
Right.
keep holding on to it, going, oh, but it's so nice.
right?
Yeah. So just wanted to share that.
I actually did that last weekend. My daughter left for Milan this past weekend.
Nice.
Yeah, no, it's really great. But the weekend before, I'm like, I'm going through my closet and I want you to look at things on me. Because I'm an organizer, right? But you still need
Yeah.
somebody to help you. So I tried on these sweaters that I spent, a little, I don't spend a whole lot of money on clothes, but I'm like, I'm going to treat myself because they're cool and they got leather on the arms and I'll be so cool. But they're all like up here and they're uncomfortable. One of them was itchy. And I think I probably worn them once.
Yeah.
And I said to her, she's like, Mom, they don't flatter you. They're nice, but, and I put them in the bag. They were in my car for a week because I tell my clients do that. Drive around with a week, unless we take them away. And I just said, no, I'm not, they're just taking up space mentally for me.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's so funny. It's the let it go is an easy step. Again, simple, not easy. I should say that because you still have to do it.
Yeah.
But it's really, you don't want it.
Yeah.
And it's, again, be honest with yourself. Are you going to wear it? So one of my clients says goodbye to stuff, but he wears it one more time.
Yeah, that's fun. That's cute.
Yeah, it's like saying goodbye. Okay, thank you.
Getting closure.
It's like,
that's so good.
Exactly. Unless you really don't want it, then you get it out the door.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So that's the first step. And it is, once you do it, once you decide, you have to, like anything, we had to book this, right? You set aside time to book a call, to go to the doctor, to go to dinner with your friends, to go to, and get your hair cut. You have to put it in your schedule to organize.
That's true. Well,
and don't try to do the whole thing at one time.
Yes, that would be overwhelmed. Speaking of overwhelm, no, since you've introduced a little system, by all means, go for it, so that we'll let our listeners and our viewers, they can keep it.
Yes.
So L is let it go. What's the
let it go? I is intentional, and that is where people get stuck. The I is the clothes in your closet. Okay, let's go back to that. Oh gosh, I haven't worn that dress. Oh I've spent so much money on that. Or right, and I only wore it once. Or I really want to get back into that dress or those pants. Or I have to take those to the tailor. Or and it takes time. You have to discuss things.
Yeah,
and that's where the bigger growth happens. The bigger honesty with yourself. The china grandma gave you. The stuff that like my daughter's an only child. I don't want to leave her any of my stuff unless she wants it.
Yeah.
I don't want her to feel burden of keeping things. I do presentations on this as well and say, if you feel burdened, the guilt and the regret or whatever it is, the responsibility we feel holding on to our parents' stuff or something someone gave you. I said, would your mom want you to feel that burden? Of holding on. And every once in a while there's a woman, oh yeah, my mom definitely wanted me to. Yeah. But it's a joke, but it is because her parents probably made her feel guilty.
Yeah.
And then my next question to them is, if you have children or loved ones, do you want them to feel that burden holding it onto it? It's not, life is not, we're not in the world where you pass down your stuff to generation, because the next generation couldn't afford it, or great grandfather, built the tree that grandfather cut down to make this chair or this table. It's not, I get goosebumps every time I tell stories like this, because everything was handmade and it's family, and nobody wants it anymore, but someone will. If you donate it, I call it recycle the love.
Yeah.
If there's something you don't want, someone else will.
Yeah, I'm a big advocate of that. And I want to really put a pin for our listeners in that word intention. I am, and those of you who know and follow me, I am such a big advocate of living more intentional lives generally. And so I really love, Lisa, that you incorporate that into your program. Okay, so we've got the L, let it go, the I, intention. What's next?
Well, and intentional, I truly believe in that too, and the universe takes care. If you're blocked with all this stuff that you need to let go, you can't make an intentional decision. I talk about this with a friend of mine in the book, and he was searching for the wrong guy. He was looking for all the things he thought he wanted, but when he got intentional, guess what? That person comes to you. Then you know what you want. you know, the house, the car, the whatever, you know, the relationship, everything. It becomes then you see it more. You know, you get rid of clutter, literal clutter in your brain or in your space, and then you see what's going on. So the little system is actually those two steps. That's
Yeah.
all. It's not rocket science, but it's a lot of hard work.
Yeah.
A lot of hard work that you have to do yourself. I mean, we
Yeah.
can help, people can help you, but you really have to do that decision. And
Yeah.
then the T, I think you'll love, is transform.
Nice.
So you've transformed your space. You've
Yeah.
transformed. You've made that decision. I always say, give yourself a pat on the back.
Yeah.
Because before we started, you said, I don't know where to start. Oh,
Yeah.
hi, Sadie. My dog's saying hi. Um,
What a
you
cutie.
don't know where to start, and you just feel better. Your space feels better, which leads to love it and live it.
Yeah.
So you love the space you're in. Most of the things in your house or in your space or in your mind
Yeah.
are special to you. Keep quality, not quantity.
Yeah. And
You
just
know.
before you jump to the last L, I'd like keeping on that point about that transformation. What is the
Hmm.
connection between our physical space and our mental health? I think we often don't pay enough attention to that.
I think it's huge. There's therapists that say, and you know, I've seen it, the amount of clutter in someone's home, and not everybody, but I know when I'm going through a lot emotionally or life takes a turn or whatever, my space gets a little wonky. It's a
Yeah.
little crowded. I
Yeah.
don't have the energy to put things away or
Yeah.
make decisions.
Yeah.
So the amount of clutter, physical clutter in a lot of ways, is the amount of pain someone's in.
Yeah. That's
You
interesting.
know, when I drive around in people's cars, that's a huge indicator.
Yeah.
It really is. And it also, for me, it's how much you respect yourself.
Yeah.
You know, when you drive around or you're surrounded by chaos, you know, no judgment on the person,
Yeah.
you know, that's just where they are in their life. But really just cleaning out a little, it's like a big purge, you
Yeah.
know, it frees you up. So i
That's
i
it.
truly believe it's not everybody, but it is a big indicator,
Yeah.
you know, because I see sometimes even when I'm on a consultation call with people. I was just saying this to a person I was talking to this morning, because after we were talking, she said, you know what, Lisa, just talking to you, I feel better.
Yeah.
I feel like, you know, because I'm so proud of people that call,
Yeah.
because for some people this is a lot of shame
Yeah.
and it's a lot of guilt and it's a
Yeah.
lot of, I should be able to do this, you
Yeah.
know, why can't I clean up, like what's
Yeah.
going on?
Yeah.
It's not about, I always say, the stuff about your stuff is not about your stuff.
Yeah.
You know, it's about what we make up about our stuff. And I always say, I'm so proud of you for calling. It's
Yeah.
so hard to reach out for help for something we think we could be able to do. I would never cut my own hair. Guess what? I'm going to go to somebody. I could
Yeah.
cut it.
Yeah.
It's not going to look great. We
Yeah.
can all be organized, but
Yeah.
having someone to help, it just relieves a little of that
Yeah.
burden.
And I like that you use the word freeing, because I think we often don't make that association. By decluttering our physical space, it creates space for us. It creates mental
Mhm.
space. And, it's such a powerful shift. Okay. So
It
we've got
is.
the I, the L, the I, the T, and what's the final L?
Well, the T is love it and live it.
Yeah.
So you love the space you're in. You've created it. You live in it,
Yeah.
literally and physically and mentally, like
Yeah.
living in your space. Peter Walsh has a great quote. He's an organizer. I think he was Oprah's organizer. Now I just love him, and he's in Britain or somewhere. And he says something. I'm going to summarize it. If what you own doesn't create the life you want, why is it in your home?
That's so good.
And I take it a step further. If what you own, your thoughts, don't create the life you
Yes.
want, why is it in your home? Why
Oh
is it
gosh,
in
yes.
your home?
Oh,
Right?
that's
I
good.
believe me, I tell myself this all the time.
Yeah.
You teach best what you most need to learn sometimes,
Yeah.
right? So,
Yes.
and you see it in other people because you can relate.
Yeah.
You can relate on some level why
Yeah.
people struggle.
Yeah. Now, you've
Hmm.
talked a bit, Lisa, about letting go. And I know
Hmm.
from some of the stuff I've read of yours, you talk about the fact that life is a balance of holding on and letting go. Can you
Yes,
tell
Rumi's
us a bit about
quote.
that?
Well, don't you think it is?
No, I agree. I'd love you
Yeah,
though
yeah,
to sort of
yeah.
explore.
I've been living Rumi's quote had it in my, psyche for years, or my life for years. And life is always a balance.
Yeah.
I know I have more work today, but tonight, but I'm so tired. So
Yeah.
am I going to stay up, exhaust myself, or am I going to go to sleep?
Yeah.
It's a balance, right? Or like you're losing weight. Should I eat this
Yeah.
now, or should I, I mean, it's a balance.
Yeah.
And I know for myself, having ADD, and I don't think it has anything to do with ADD. It's just being a, almost 6-year-old woman, that you have to
Yeah.
balance like your priorities, your family. People used to say when I had, when you have little kids, choose your battles.
Yeah. It's so true.
Choose your battles. Can the kid go to bed late? I mean, go to bed dirty?
Yeah.
Or do you want to deal with them screaming for 2
Yeah.
hours? Well, then go to bed dirty.
It's
It's
not
like
going to kill
choose your
them.
battles, right? Right. Choose. That's the same thing. Life is a balance,
Nice. I love that.
Yeah, that's how I see it.
Yeah. Well, and it's beautiful. And also, I often say that balance, because we always talk about balance as if it's some magical state we achieve. It's an ongoing
Mm,
process. It's like a verb, right? We're constantly having to balance, like you said, every day,
yep.
every battle,
Yep.
every discussion.
Every
Yeah.
situation.
Now, circling back to
Hmm.
organizing, do you have just maybe a few hot tips, like practical tips or some simple organizing steps or changes that our listeners can take now once they finish listening
Sure.
to this episode to improve their lives?
Start with the little system. I don't know which way it goes. Start with the little system, let it go. And also here's some fun tips: that open up a drawer or something that you haven't opened in a while, and just look through it. Because sometimes it's like, why have I been holding on to what is this? And then figure out why. I love talking to my clients about why they've had something.
Yeah.
Sometimes they don't know, and sometimes, oh, I forgot I had that. Or, oh my gosh, that's what my daughter gave me when she was little. You remember something.
Yeah.
A fun tip: if you have like a lot of papers, you have magazines or books piled high, or clothing, flip them over, because the stuff on the bottom is usually the oldest,
Yeah.
and it's usually the easiest to
That's good.
go away
Yeah.
with. And then you can kind of sometimes find the origin of why that pile was created.
Yeah.
It's always fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's really, what do you want? Do you want to change? Do you want to change? Just, do you need or want a change? Do you crave a
Yeah.
change in your situation, in
Yeah.
your space?
No, it just hit me when you said, oh my gosh, my mother gave me that. I mean, so much of the stuff that we keep, whether our mental baggage or physical stuff, it all comes down to emotion, right? And
It
I
does.
often talk about, people say, oh, emotion has no place in negotiations. That's so naive. I mean, obviously,
Mm,
but we're human. We are human creatures. So emotion plays a role. What role does emotion
huge.
play in negotiating past our clutter?
Oh, golly, where do I start? How long do we have? I'm not a therapist, but emotions are huge. I mean, even like I said a couple minutes ago, even just calling somebody for help
Yeah.
is emotional.
Yeah.
Acknowledging you need help,
Yeah.
and not berating yourself for, why can't I do this? You're ashamed. I just hired a coach for the first time in years. I can do it myself. I can do it myself. I can do it myself. My biggest excuse for her was, well, I don't have time. Well, how
Yeah.
long have you been saying that?
Yeah.
My clients say it all the time.
Yeah.
I don't
Exactly.
have
Of
time to
course.
organize.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that was emotional for me to even just go,
Yeah.
oh, realizing something is
Yeah.
emotional.
Yeah.
Having an outer body experience when you when you realize, oh wow, I have been holding on to this.
Yeah.
Or, holy cow, why have I been holding on to this? And we keep things, therapists say this all the time, we keep doing things, and we keep things because it serves us in some way,
Yeah.
negatively and
Yeah. It may
positively.
not be the healthiest way, but we
No,
get something
no,
out of it.
but we
Yeah.
do. Like, why was I holding on to something somebody said? Well,
Yeah.
it kept me safe.
Yeah.
It kept me from feeling that hurt again.
Yeah.
It kept me from people who hoard. I used to be a personal trainer. That was my business before this. And people hold on to weight.
Yeah.
People hold on to stuff. We protect ourselves.
Yeah.
And like Vince, the man who fried an egg, the character in my book, he thought he was protecting himself and isolating himself, but basically, for protection and safety and all of the above. And basically he was just minimizing him.
Yeah.
It wasn't protection. It was more suffocating.
Yeah.
And we often do that when we don't know what to do.
Yeah.
Like I don't want to talk about my stuff with people
Yeah.
sometimes. It's like they have their own, but we have to. I talk something in the book I talk about is sitting in your dirty diapers. And sometimes it's good to sit in your dirty diapers, right?
Yeah.
Just feel your feels and feel sorry for yourself. And this stuff is happening, this is happening, and oh my gosh, and oh my gosh. And then you don't want to stay there too long because it gets
Yeah.
very messy and stinky and nobody likes you after a while. And,
Yeah.
and you get stuck in it, right? You
Yeah.
literally get stuck in your woe's me. You got to get up, wipe yourself off, put your big girl pants on and go. But it's okay. It's okay to do that and find a friend to I say this to my husband all the time. Like, you don't have to answer me. Just let me tell you what happened today because I don't know how to process it.
Yeah.
Or this person said something and he'll usually just say, well, don't take it personally. Well, I have to because it's my friend, like, Lisa, talk yourself off the ledge, but sometimes you just need to do that. So emotions are all over the place, but I often.
You hit the nail on the head when you said so much of it is just owning it, right? Like recognizing it, allow ourselves the space to, and I assume that's the advice you give your clients. As we're organizing, as we're negotiating that declutter in our lives, whether the mental stuff or the physical stuff in our lives, allows yourself to recognize the emotional attachment to whatever those things are and ask yourself questions about it. And then you can bring that intention that you've talked about so beautifully as well. Yeah.
Exactly. And just know, I say this to my daughter all the time. She's 20, when she's just feeling something. And I said this to her. I said it really beautifully years ago, but this is how I say it now. There's a reason why there's definitions for emotions, because everybody feels them.
Of course.
They're all individual. I say that to all my clients. You're unique, but your situation's the same. I don't say it like that, but it's all the same. How it affects you and how you're affected is very unique. It's one of a kind. But there's a reason why there's so many organizers and there's coaches and there's therapists, because people crave that release and that freedom. And, we can't keep sitting in this. We can't, the state of mental health is just, and everyone's taught to be ashamed of it. There's no shame in it. It's very difficult.
And if we ignore it, we're doomed to just keep repeating those same old patterns.
Cycle.
Right? So, yeah, absolutely. So this has been fabulous. I can't believe how quickly our time is going by.
Oh, shoot.
I like to end by asking, what's one of the greatest mindset shifts that you've had in your life? And it doesn't have to be about this. This could be about anything in your life. It's fun. We've got quite the collection now. I should do a whole episode about the mindset shifts we've heard. Some of them are pretty powerful.
Mindset shift.
Yeah, just something that made you see things differently, or one of those aha moments that you're like, oh my gosh, how did I not recognize this before?
Oh my gosh, I'm drawing a blank because there's so many of them. I think really for me is looking honestly at myself. And this pertains to this. When I don't know if I realized this myself or heard something, when I dislike something in someone else, or that person bugs me, or there's something, I just don't want to be around them. First of all, I find something good about them.
Yeah.
And then I say, what is it? What is it? Can you nail what it is about that person? And sometimes it's like, oh, they're so confident, or they said something, whatever, negative about someone else. So if I look at myself, so say, oh, they act so confident, but they're cocky. Well, do I sometimes act confident? Or I feel confident, but I'm acting cocky. So I turn the mirror around.
Yeah.
Because if you dislike something in someone, it's probably because you dislike it in you. And I say this to my daughter all the time. If if someone's being mean to you, they're saying it about themselves.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways.
Yeah.
So I think I work on that every day, because you have to be honest with yourself again. So everybody judges, and everybody judges. You have to judge people to know who you want in your circle and who you want to confide in and who you want, to relate to. But when the judgment gets like, I'm better than, or you're whatever, then I know I'm like, oh, I'm not Lisa. I'm not the Lisa I truly am when I'm in that state.
Yeah, that's a powerful insight, that mirror. And again, it comes back to that intention that we keep talking about,
Mm-hmm.
right? Being able to be more intention. So where can people learn more about you, Lisa? Where do you want us to direct?
Oh, well, you can find my book on Amazon. And but if you want to download the little system, it's on my website, www.theorganizingmentors.com. The Organizing Mentors.
Beautiful. And we'll make sure to put that in the
Yeah.
show notes so that everybody
Oh, thanks.
can reach out, because we can all use a little help negotiating for less clutter in our lives
Exactly.
in
Mentally and
every way.
physically.
Absolutely. So thank you so much for sharing your expertise with
Thank
us
you,
today. This was
Cindy.
lovely. We'll have to have you back. I have a feeling we just
Oh,
touched the tip
please.
of the iceberg today. And for our listeners,
Terrific.
I am sure you guys got lots of value from this episode. We don't think often enough. Other than, oh, I've got so much I need to do it, and we keep putting it off, that procrastination. So hopefully this has been the kickstart you need to start really getting intentional about decluttering, negotiating past the clutter in your life, both mentally and physically. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't done that, and give the gift of sharing. Share this episode with people in your life who you think this might resonate and help kickstart them so they can start living a more intentional and better life. And before we sign off today, just want to share some ways we can work together as well if you're looking to up-level your negotiation skills. I've got everything from online to group to my signature VIP and mastermind experiences available to help you better leverage that innate power you have already to get more of what you want and deserve in life. And if that sounds interesting to you, check out our website at artoffemininenegotiation.com. And make sure to grab a copy of my book of the same name, Art of Feminine Negotiation, if you haven't done that yet. And we'll have in the show notes as well, all of Lisa's data. And that is a wrap for this episode. So until next time, go forth and negotiate your best life on your terms so you can stop missing out and start getting more of what you want and deserve from the boardroom to the bedroom. Until next time, take care.